she never got to see how funny looking he was.
Oh my god, that's so true.
Yeah. 4 stars.
4 stars.
Far from
Yeah,
me.
all she got to see was a foot with a sock on it. That's it.
I'm
Funny
just
looking
devastated
too.
for Marge.
Yeah.
She's living out the rest of her life not knowing.
Okay,
Not
that was
knowing how funny
incredible.
looking she was.
People are so funny. The internet has taught me that there are people's inside thoughts that are now outside. Well done. Well done, society.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
This podcast is based on a true story.
Really? We're gonna go with that. You know, I watched this movie for probably the second time in a long time, and I actually questioned myself. I'm like, is this actually based on a true story? But no, it's not.
Nope.
No,
They lied to us.
They lied to us. So this week we're diverting a little bit away from horror. We talked about Obsession last week, which is a good one. Check that back episode. Was really a fun conversation with our good friend Jordan the Grey Witch. And this time around, we're traveling back in time to 1996 into the frozen tundra that is Fargo. And we can't really talk about frozen tundra and murders most sound without bringing on some of our really old friends that we haven't had on the podcast in a good bit. And I'm glad we got to have them back on. We've got with us today Katie and Nat from the VHS Club. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Pretty good, eh?
It's going good.
It's going good. Yeah, it's been too long.
It has
It has been.
Way
Although
too
you
long.
did call us your really old friends. I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
you're old friends.
Wait a sec.
I mean, I
It means
feel
we go
pretty
back.
old.
We go
Yeah,
back.
we go
a
back
long
a ways.
time. Yeah.
We go.
I'm like,
we go
yeah,
back.
I'm
Okay, we
old.
go back.
I
Okay.
totally feel that.
Go back a ways. Yeah, you're our really old friends. Not
All right,
old
all right,
as in
I'll have
like
it.
grade. Although
Old
honestly,
friends, loose ends, bookends.
yeah, there you go. Although
Oh, yeah.
honestly,
Oh,
like
probably.
if you look at the reviews that we're gonna look at later in the episode, apparently appreciation for this movie is a sign of age.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
man,
I'm good with that.
man, yeah. But man, oh man, this movie. I mean, what can you say? It's the fucking Coen brothers.
Well, one thing that's kind of unrelated, especially for somebody who's maybe listening to this from like a year and a half from now or whatever, it is so nice to see a movie about a frozen tundra when we're recording this in the middle of July.
Oh my god, it's like hot as balls out here.
Yeah.
I think today
It
hit
actually-
119, so...
No.
119.
Yeah,
Oh, but that's
in Canada.
Celsius. Is that Celsius?
No, that's Fahrenheit.
No, that would be bad.
No, that's Fahrenheit, yeah.
Oh,
It's with humidity, because I am technically on an island, so it's very humid.
oh.
Yeah,
Well, I
I'm like,
mean,
I don't know why
yeah.
Florida complains. It's that hot here.
And you're supposed to be in the place where it is cold. Like when people think
Yeah.
of Canada, they immediately look, oh, it's cold up there. And it's like,
No,
dude,
Not in the
just
summer.
no.
seasonally. It's terrible right now.
It's pretty
Very
cold.
It was a-
un-Fargo.
It was apparently not all that cold when they were trying to shoot this movie, though. That was like of the few facts that I read before we jumped on here. They were saying that they actually had like a very hard time finding snow in Minnesota when they were filming, so they had to do their best. They had to like change some of their locations and move things around. So I'm glad we all appreciated the snow, because apparently that was not easy for them to find.
I mean,
which
I
is
kind of
wild.
got that vibe when the one character is talking about how, oh yeah, there's gonna be a cold front coming through. Yep, and he's shoveling like slush.
He wasn't shoveling. He
It
was
was
using
brushing.
the push broom.
Yes.
I'm like, I have questions about this scene, and I've seen it many times, but why is he brooming the snow?
The slush.
Because there wasn't enough snow to shovel. That makes sense to me.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Like,
but
not to do
He
with
might
the
have been
actual
my
movie.
favorite character. I think he was like very high up there in my favorite character list. He's glorious.
There
whatever
are
his
some characters in
name
this
is.
that there's some characters in this that I'm just like, why are they there? Like Marge's like old boyfriend guy who just shows up out of nowhere. Like, why is this guy here? And that guy too, the push broom guy, same sort of deal. I'm like, why is this guy here? What does he add to the full thing? But I'm like, it's to give us all well, it's the Coen brothers too. It's that, but it's also like, it's to really sell the Minnesota of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's to give us context of the setting, right? Which, like, let's be honest, the setting was the main character.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we don't upset our wine and crime friends.
No, I love our wine and crime friends. Wine and crime friends, they're great. Check our back catalog.
They're from Minnesota.
They are from Minnesota. They totally got the accent going.
Okay, though I will say a couple of things here in defense.
Is this fighting time?
No, it's not fighting time. I will say that I totally agree that I think that that Minnesota and the Minnesotan accent is the main character in this movie. But what I really did like in a I mean, I'm not from Minnesota, so maybe it is derogatory to some people, but it felt like in like a very complimentary way, like the police force, while being friendly and like very Minnesotan, and they have like adorable accents, are highly capable. Like, this woman is like a total badass. Like, this movie does not make people from Minnesota look dumb or incapable or like small towny. Like, it had every opportunity to do that and doesn't. Like, it really, and probably just because the Coen brothers are from Minnesota, so I'm sure some of that, but yeah, it was really refreshing actually watching it today, where I was like, oh right, like this is really like adorable, and listening to how cute their accent is, but I don't at least feel like it belittles anyone from there.
No, they're actually competent police officers, and they're
highly
and that was her superpower too. Like, was her Minnesota nice was sort of like a front, and people just didn't expect her to be that hyper vigilant, and like she'd get a lead and she'd like hound it down and not just be like, well, maybe that's relevant or not. Like, not like a typical crime thing where it's like they bumble some of the leads. She's just like, oh yeah, I know what happened. She's so observant.
Yeah. But for people who have never seen this movie before, because there will be also those people, and plus people who also run into like, oh, you're talking about the series. I'm like, no, we're talking about the OG movie here.
Well, like season 1.
Yeah, that's basically season 1. Basically. But I do want to do a little bit of a synopsis straight from IMDb, and I'll do it in my best movie theater voice. So
no, do it in a Minnesota accent.
I can't do that, John. I can't fucking do that. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do the Minnesotan accent?
Oh yeah. Oh jeez.
Oh yeah, don't you know?
Okay. So you're gonna do it then. You're gonna find it on IMDb. This is happening right now. I'm not cutting anything out.
This is the best.
Give me
He's pulling it up.
Cover me for 5 seconds. Yeah.
Okay. What I'm describing right now to our audio-only audience is John is looking at his phone and finding. Okay. Do you got it?
I think it's very brief. Okay.
Ready?
Oh, don't you know? Oh, a car salesman in inept crime falls apart due to his henchman's bungling and the persistent police work of a dog detective. Oh, yeah.
A dog detective.
Well done.
Bravo. I mean, that is almost as good as the Jar Jar Binks voice I did for Born on the 4th of July.
Got some night crawlers.
Night crawlers.
Say, when traveling and people find out, especially Europeans, are like, oh, you're from Canada, you should, like, can you do a Canadian accent? And I just pull out my best Fargo, because I'm like, I can't do that Canadian accent. Like, the stereotype, because it's from like a small pocket of Ontario, Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
So
like, there are many places
most
in
of
Canada.
Canada
It's
can't
a large
do the
country.
accent. Geographically, it's huge. So that like one accent from that small town, farm country, I'm like, I don't know it, so I just do Fargo, and Europeans think that that's Canadian.
Yeah.
So us in Minnesota, we love
go
you.
to the Maple Leafs game, eh?
Yep.
Oh, you go to the Maple Leafs,
So
eh?
Canadian. You just have to add in a few more sorries.
Yeah.
See,
So
Yeah, sorries and A's.
so I do find it funny that despite the fact that this movie is called Fargo, it doesn't
I know where
really
you're going with this. Yeah.
take place in Fargo. In fact, we are only
Nor
in
was it
Fargo.
shot there.
Nor was it shot
Yeah.
there. But we're only in Fargo for like 5 minutes.
That is. Does anybody know why they? I mean, does
No.
it just have a nice ring to it, or?
I guess, yeah.
so.
I've heard some people say, "How far would you go for money?" I
Ah,
get it.
okay.
Yeah. I don't buy that
Okay.
though. I think that's just the internet.
I
but
love
no,
the lore around this movie. There's like all these stories where it's like, could be true. No idea.
Could be true. Yeah, yeah.
I
but
literally had to tell my brother yesterday, no, it's not actually based on a true story. It's kind of like
that's the thing.
it's kind of like this is precedes mockumentaries and like all of that sort of fad that we had in the 2000s and the aughts. So I'm like, this is before that, but the Coen brothers basically came up with that. Like, it's not real.
Yeah, yeah. But I do find it funny. It opens with, our not hero, but piece of shit, William H. Macy.
Never trust a car salesman.
Never trust a car salesman. Ever.
Jerry Lundegaard.
Jerry Lundegaard. Yeah, Jerry. Who is just showing up in Fargo. Again, the only time that we actually are in Fargo, to meet two, I don't know what you call them, just criminals that are
Henchmen?
Hoods for hire.
Yeah. What did you say?
Hoods for hire. Yeah.
Hoods for hire.
Hoods for hire.
Or,
Yep.
goons. I would say goons. I don't think
Yeah,
these are like, the boss. These are like, the side goons that they just show up. You got what's
I
his
feel
face?
they're criminal adjacent and then just got in over their heads, but
Well, you've got Peter Stormare, who is not playing the devil in this one.
No.
If you don't know, like, that is his best role he's ever played has been
His role,
Satan.
yeah.
Satan in Constantine. But he plays a Gaear Grimsrud. I think that's what it is.
He's foreign.
He's foreign.
he's
yeah.
Swedish. He's Swedish.
Sure. And Steve Buscemi playing Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's
But he
90s
does it
Steve
so well.
Buscemi. Yeah. He's a funny-looking guy,
You know,
Which is literally the best description for Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
It
What is
really
like?
is, yeah.
It's a funny-looking guy.
I feel like they wrote that in because they cast him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the interesting thing is, people that talk about like Joss Whedon or who's the guy that did West Wing? I'm drawing a blank here.
Aaron
I'll move
Sorkin.
on. Aaron Sorkin, Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, and stuff. People sleep and they shouldn't on the dialogue that you get from the Coen brothers. Like this opening scene, like this back and forth. Like it's so good, and the dialogue in their movies is so good in general. But this scene just goes to show how well they can write like humorous dialogue.
Well, you know why I think that is? Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what's awesome about it is that you can miss it if you're not paying close attention, which I think is the best kind of dialogue, where it's like you have to almost see it a couple of times to be like, oh shit, that was actually really clever. Like you catch like maybe some of it, and then you see it again, you're like, oh yeah, no, this is actually much smarter than it even comes across. So yeah, it's awesome dialogue.
It's not like Diablo Cody, and I'm not taking anything from her, but like hers has hit you over the head, like. Your ego's prego and and stuff like that. Like, you can miss like how clever it is.
I think the thing is it's relatable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not like everyone always talks about Quentin Tarantino's dialogue and how amazing
It's so
it is.
smooth.
And I think Quentin Tarantino, for all his accolades, it's always heavy-handed. It is always a lot of weight to it. It's either filled with some sort of movie reference or TV reference or something that isn't at all related to what is actually happening in the fucking scene. And what the Coens are able to do is actually make the dialogue feel like you've had that conversation before.
It's believable.
It
Yeah.
is 100% believable. Even
It's
when
that
all this
opening
bizarre
scene.
shit is happening.
Yeah, the opening scene in Fargo when they meet each other to make the plans and he gives them the cars like a down payment for the soon to be bungled kidnapping. The conversation just goes wrong from the minute they meet each other, which basically foreshadows like that one conversation is the whole movie. Like it foreshadows everything that happens.
Yeah, because all he wants to do is be like, okay, I'll give you 40 now, and you get like 40 later, or back and forth. Like you people have had that conversation before. Like I can imagine my days when I did freelance, and it was very much just like, you can give me now like half, and I'll go and work on the thing, and then you get like that back and forth. That's something that you hear all the time. But yes, in this opening scene, Jerry Lundegaard is trying to plot his wife's kidnapping in a public bar.
Yeah, in a public bar. Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
Might
but
not
in
be the
Fargo.
smartest thing, but yeah, it's Fargo. So I guess what does that say about Fargo? Are we saying that Fargo is full of nothing but that's where goons hang out?
I'm
no one
thinking
knows
that it's
Jerry
just
there.
small and rural and there's not a lot there. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it implied that there's just like nobody's going to notice because there's nothing happening in Fargo.
But there's people in the bar who can hear them.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of noise in there. Maybe,
Okay.
hopefully people are minding their own business.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is like, is that particular hangout like where all the goons hang out? Is like that is what it is? It's like, oh, if you go into the goon hangout, you better know, like, don't
Right,
be
it's like
discussing kidnappings.
Right. It's like the Tick. Like, remember when Arthur went to that one bar that was all sidekicks?
Yes.
Superhero sidekicks. Yeah. It's all
Yeah.
goons. Yeah.
It's all goons.
Hired
Yeah,
goons.
exactly.
John, you and
It's
I
all
and
goons.
probably Katie and Nat are the only ones who actually know about the show The Tick.
I love the Tick.
Okay, see? This is why we're all friends.
Safe space.
This is why we're all
Safe
friends.
space.
Safe space. But yeah,
Like,
the whole reason why Jerry wants his wife kidnapped is because he needs money from his wife's family, because his wife's family is very well off. But you get the feeling that his wife's family think of Jerry as an idiot.
Well,
Maybe
Well,
because he is a bit of an
Because he
idiot.
is an idiot.
Well, it's twofold, right? Like, his father-in-law is kind of a dick, but Jerry also is an idiot, So I don't think if Jerry had a better head on his shoulders, I still don't think old Wade would have given him the money anyways.
No.
But
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the thing I loved about Jerry is if he just shut up 90% of the time, he probably could have got away with it.
But
Like, if he did
Nat's his
nothing.
deal. It's his deal. He's the one in charge of this deal, Nat. It's fucking-
Did we
it's like,
ever-
shut the fuck up, Jerry.
I was like, please be quiet so you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Did we ever find out why he actually needed the money? Because at first I thought it was for the investment
No.
in the land,
No.
but then his father-in-law does invest in the land and brings in partner investors. So it's not that. Like we never find out why he
I
actually
get the vibe that
needs
he
the money.
lost a good chunk of money doing something else nefarious that maybe a prequel to Fargo, could answer.
I don't know if nefarious
Wait,
is the
I
right
think-
word. Probably like inept.
Well,
He
and
just
nef-
I think the movie
nefarious
does
and
lay it
inept.
out. I think the movie does lay it out. I think that he hired them, but then got the deal from Wade, forgot to unhire them, but then the deal
He
from
tried.
Wade was
tried.
bullshit anyways. Yeah.
He left a
Tried to
message on
unhire
Goons
them.
Are Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it turns out, you can't easily stop a hired hit once you've started it.
I
It's just-
didn't
you
know
try.
that. I thought that there was some sort of like
It's a
fail
learning
safe.
lesson. Yeah.
It's a learning lesson.
Yeah.
That hey, you just so you know, the minute you put out that you need to have your wife or whoever kidnapped, that you can't unring that bell.
One of my, I know this is jumping ahead a bit, but one of
No,
my
it's cool.
favorite moments with him is a little bit later once the kidnapping is underway and he's like negotiating back and forth with his father-in-law and his father-in-law's accountant on like what to do. And they he just completely forgets he has a son.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, how is your son? And he's just like, you can see like in his face, he's like, shit. Like, what?
It's like, oh, that's
He
right.
literally
My
doesn't
son,
remember that he has a child. Yeah.
who's probably scarred for life because not only
Scarred
is
for
his
life. Yeah.
not only is his mother kidnapped, but the whole house is destroyed
Yeah.
in the kidnapping. But
Yeah.
all
And
Jerry's
the dad
concerned
doesn't
with.
care.
No,
The dad
No,
just
the
tries. He's
dad
like,
doesn't
"Oh, it's
care.
fine. Don't worry about it."
the kid's not part of
the
the
whole
deal.
conversation with the
No.
is wild. Like,
Or
where
like,
he's just
and to top it
the
off,
kid is
the
like,
poor kid's not allowed to play hockey.
No,
yeah.
that's worse than having your mom kidnapped.
Hey,
You
you,
can't
know
play
what?
hockey.
His grades aren't good enough, you know?
His
Hockey's a
Yeah.
privilege.
They're not good.
Hockey's a privilege. Okay.
Hockey is a privilege. Yeah.
But yes, so the goons get the car, which again, Jerry's the dumbest fucking criminal I've ever heard of because he literally has dealer plates on these fucking things. And wouldn't you think like it'd be very easy to trace back that, hey, this car with this VIN number came from this lot in
Yeah.
Minneapolis? Like for someone
which is
who's
exactly what the cop
which
does.
is exactly
Which is
what
exactly
Marge
what the
does.
capable police officers
what
do.
a capable police officer does. Yes. But like that's kind of dumb. Like it's just like he for someone who is trying to cover his tracks. Again, this all goes back to why is he going into a public setting in Fargo to talk about his wife's kidnapping and giving people, the goons, cars with VIN numbers that can be traced back to the exact dealership they came from. He's the worst executive salesman ever.
And
Well, Brian, you've
yet
seen,
it it's so believable. Like like going back to the dialogue, like you're like, yeah, I believe that this guy feels this in over his head. He doesn't know what the hell to do, and he got this like awesome opportunity, great idea, and now he's just following through with it badly because he's so in over his head. So like weirdly enough, even though it's completely insane, you're like, yeah, I would buy this. Like this,
Yeah.
this feels like something that would actually happen, which is crazy, but
he's far from a criminal mastermind, you know. And like Brian, I'm sure you've seen, you know, Datelines or more, you know, applicable to the times, like true crime podcasts. Yeah. People do really stupid shit and get caught with these things. Like, and I kind of think it's interesting to go back to what must have been the writing process for this movie, because now, you know, you see these Netflix documentaries where it's like, oh my god, like, you know, this world is insane out there, but they had to have started with the idea. Just both Coen brothers, like, okay, what if a guy needs to fake kidnap his wife for money, and like, and then they must have just started building off of there. Like, you know, this will lead to this, you know, because this is a very intricate plot.
It is,
you know,
and the plot ends up moving into, you know, the fact that goons take the bounty, if you will. And end up traveling first to Brainerd because they said, well, you want to get laid, go to Brainerd. I'm like, of all the places?
Is that
sure?
Is that a thing?
I'm like, is that a thing? Like, literally, it's like, yeah, we'll get laid, go to Brainerd. Like,
guys,
the home of Babe Blue Ox? Like, that's where you go.
That is Reno of the Midwest.
Is it really Reno of the Midwest?
Yeah. There are places,
that's what the
you know,
sign
like, if you're just ask your skeeviest friend, no matter where you are, the place you go to get laid, you know.
Yeah, you don't go to
Hold on, let me check my
Rolodex.
Brainerd. Yeah.
That
They
joke
make this
carries
statue
through, though.
so scary.
It does.
Yeah, they make the statue absolutely terrifying. But I do love that joke carries all the way through the movie. Like there are multiple lines, including the man we talked about earlier with the broom, where it's like these criminal masterminds are just constantly asking random people where the best places to get laid in all these towns.
Yeah, funny little guy. He kept asking. He's going crazy over the lake, and you know, he said, "Where can he get laid?" And I'm like, "Well, that's not the kind of place we have around here." And you know, he's a funny looking guy, you know, but he said he was going to lose his mind. It's like, what are you doing? And even like do
you need sex that badly?
Yeah, well,
you need to like walk up
I
to random people in town.
Yeah, but I love that this eventually comes back when Marge later interviews the two women, in probably one of the funniest conversations in the whole movie, when they're like, "Oh, so you met these two guys? Yeah. Funny. So you were the funny little guy. How do you know he was funny? Well, he was uncircumcised." It's like, what? What?
Like, she couldn't think of anything about him that was characteristically quote unquote funny. So that's when she was like, I guess maybe this.
I guess maybe this, and yeah, don't you know, a lot of those.
Well, I mean, have you ever seen with those European penance? You know, like it's weird having like seeing like the turtleneck up to the forehead. You know,
especially since this character wore a turtleneck through like most of the movie.
Yeah,
because he's a funny looking guy.
What's his name? The Swede Gaear. I have so many questions about what he wears, and I know people focus a lot on his like brown leather trench coat, but what was it like a fencing outfit or lawn johns?
Yeah,
or what was he wearing?
Yeah,
like, what is that?
He's
is
a
like
weird fucking guy. Can we talk? Let's talk a little bit about
so
Peter
weird.
Stormare's character, Gaear, in this.
Yeah.
You get the vibe that he's not all 100% there, and is also a cold-blooded killer. Like,
well, unlike Steve Buscemi's character, he also knows to keep his fucking mouth shut.
He does. he actually does. Even though he's the one who's asleep in the bar when Jerry is like, giving him like, the order. But yeah, I mean, Gaear just has no problem just up and murdering anyone.
Yeah, and that kind of hit.
He's like the cleanup
movie was
guy.
Quiet. Yeah. The movie is like quiet, and then it's like shoots a cop right in the head, blood everywhere.
Blood everywhere.
Like, oh, okay, so the movie's taking a turn now into like the dark.
Well, not only that,
he
obviously Steve Buscemi then has to get rid of the body, and you're on this desolate road in the middle of fucking frozen tundra, and a lone car happens to come up down the road because there's still a town there. And so what does this guy do? He drives down, literally trying to kill these two people, and
he's a problem solver.
He is
like,
a problem solver.
He solves the
Katie's like, what a guy.
Problems. But he ends up, killing two bystanders who happen to witness Steve Buscemi, puppeting a dead person. That sort of thing. Yeah, but he's
so
really
eye roll
terrifying
about it, which I find like also interesting about his, like, he's so, you can just almost like hear his exasperation, even though he's not really saying anything, and he's just kind of sitting there. It's sort of like, oh, for the love of God, like, this plan was never going to work, and now we have this dead cop, and now I've got to hunt down these guys and kill them, and like, you need to move the body. Why aren't you doing it fast? Like, you can almost hear all of his thoughts, even though he says nothing, and he's not even like emoting a ton through his face, but you could just tell how exasperated he is. Like, he's like, now he needs to fix all of this. Like, they're not friends. Like, for being like this duo of evil henchmen, like, they don't seem to know each other at all, and they don't really seem to like he's just like there entirely for the money, and it's not going well, and he just wants to be done. Which again is relatable for a lot of projects out there.
Yeah, but ultimately, this murder is what kind of kickstart the greatest detective in cinema history, with Margie.
She's so observant.
She's
and if you think about the time,
fucking awesome.
If you think about the time, like, fingerprinting is new because that only started in the mid 80s to be used globally by police forces.
I think fingerprinting was.
I'll take your word on it.
Fingerprint was. It exists.
It existed.
It existed for a long time, but to be commonly used, like, CSI was not a thing yet. It was
not to the extent.
So
it
it's
was
like.
Now.
No, so she's like, okay, there's two sets of footprints, and like just hyper vigilant on her observation that was not really commonplace in, not that hypervigilance wasn't commonplace in the police force, but I mean, like, she noticed a lot of forensic details that weren't necessarily a tool that the police force had yet at the time.
What's interesting about her is you kind of contrast how she's very folksy and her approach to everything is come from this folksy side. Imagine if this was set in, say, New York City.
Yeah.
What the different type of vibe you would get. And I think that's what honestly makes this movie sell as much as it does, and why it is so good is it's taking all of these elements that we might see from a more serious type of murder crime type of movie or TV show. Like, I immediately look at this, I'm like, this is kind of like SVU, almost to a point. Like, it's got those
SVU Minnesota.
It's got the beats to it, but it's done in a way where it is very. I would watch it. It's very folksy, and she's able to get everything she wants and solve the crime by being herself. You know what I mean? And by kind of running down everything.
Like, massively pregnant too. Like, that is not just a smart detective. That is a superhero. Because, like, who wants to be, like, waddling around like that, like, super pregnant, waiting for the kid to come, taking care of her husband, like, and, you know, and solving, like, a mass murder?
You okay, Margie? Yeah, I just think I get a barf.
Yeah, it's got a barf.
That scene is so good because you have, like,
it's so real.
You have her right in there, like, she, like, is, like, right there, super pregnant, like, looking in the car and, like, and yelling back to her colleague who's standing, like, as far back as humanly possible, what's going on. And he's just, like, totally in awe of her. She's, like, just there getting it done. At no point does she, like, need to run away. She's just like, I might throw up. That's fine. I'm good again. I'm gonna walk over. Like, it's just so perfectly done.
And
I don't know.
The thing is, it's not even gonna barf because she's seen this horrible crime. It's gonna barf because of morning sickness, and she's like, yep, and it's gone. I'm hungry again. It's like, okay.
Hey, I gotta hand it to her husband. I gotta hand this guy. She gets a call at like 5 a.m.
Yeah,
5 a.m. and he's like, "Oh, I'll get up and make you some eggs." I'm like, "There's not a world where I would do that. I just be like, "This is a good day at work, honey." You know, it's just
yeah. He is the best throughout this because he, like, shows up for lunch with her. Like, he's just like
Can we agree that Norm
like,
and Marge's
there.
relationship is like goals?
Yeah,
like
goals.
That's goals.
And he gets his stamp at the end.
It's a 3-cent stamp. You know, they need, and the whole time I'm thinking about that, I'm like, you're gonna be real mad in a couple of years when they have the forever stamps, because then that 3-cent stamp doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, they need the little ones when they raise the price of the stamps.
Which is true.
They're
was
supportive
true.
of each other.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys all this, because, you know, we're just talking so much about like what it is for these people to be so Minnesotian. I don't know if that's what you say, but do you think that the big reason that this very, very dark humor works as well as it does is because it takes place in Minnesota, and like we go, oh, they're so silly, they sound funny, and they're small towny. Like, if this was taking place in like Detroit, do you think that the dark humor would work like it does, or do you think it's it's because Dad's here to watch the golfers? You know,
it's the contrast of the Minnesota nice to the extreme dark. Of like the extreme violence. It's like the violence in the Minnesota nice like don't work at all, except in contrast to each other, which I think is really the whole thing that sells it.
I think it could if you had a equally disarming character. So like right now I'm rewatching Ted Lasso leading up to the new season starting, and like if you had like a Ted Lasso, like if you had someone who like maybe wasn't Minnesotan but was just like so gosh darn nice, or like just was like not like opposed to kind of all of the opposite of all the grittiness and all of the kind of evilness, I think you probably could still pull it off because it would still be disarming. Like I do think you need something that is realistic but disarming in order to be able to pull off that kind of humor. I mean, I guess unless you had like a really sarcastic character, like I think you have to do it through character or through culture or through both. And this movie just works because it's not just the Minnesotan of it all, but like I also think like again it's the it's that they're not. It's not a stereotype. Like she's believable in it. Like as that character. So that it's not. It doesn't feel.
I think
out of place.
it helps set the tone too, because like if we talk about tone, the whole kidnapping scene could have been. You could have shot that completely different, and it could have been horrifying, right? But the sheer fact is, she's horrifying. Like inept and falling and using that like weird screen.
What's
pitch.
the lead up to that though, John? What's the lead up? The lead up is what? She's watching TV with knitting needles. She's knitting something, and there's this random guy in a ski mask who's just in the backyard, and we're holding on him for like a good couple beats here.
Why does it take her like a good 10 minutes of staring directly at him before she reacts?
There's actually
because
three physical responses. There's fight, there's flight, and there's fawn. And she fawned. Like she was just like,
yeah, I guess. Yeah, she just
well, I think it's disbelief, and I think it's one of those things where like you don't immediately jump to, oh, this person's gonna bust in and break into my house.
Yeah, I guess.
True. Like your brain doesn't automatically go there. And it's like, is this really happening? But the fact is this movie holds on this.
Yeah.
While everything, and has the TV's playing and everything. And as soon as it busts in, it's still ridiculous because she's like flip-flopping all over the place. She hides in the shower and, ends up falling down the stairs with the shower curtain all over her head. Like it's insane. But it doesn't feel menacing.
No.
Yeah, but it still again feels, I don't know, it is a magic. Like the Coen brothers have some kind of sorcery because it both feels scary but also funny, but also again like believable. Like there were moments where I was like, oh, she's kind of a badass. Like she does like run upstairs, she fights back, she tries to grab the phone, she tries to get like she does like all these things that like you would hope that you would do in that kind of situation. Yeah. Like she doesn't just like, it's not just like, oh no, like it's like she has some of those moments, but she does make kind of an effort, which is again like it just feels really believable. But I think you're right, John, that like a little change in the filming, a little change in the dialogue, and it would have been absolutely horrifying.
Well, think about modern movies when they never do any sort of like kidnapping or murder. It's always the shaky cam happens. This is locked down. It's all in the wide. So it's one of those things where, and the Coens are masters of this. They'll have subject matter that is kind of dark and kind of menacing, but you don't really take it seriously.
Yeah.
Like every one of their movies has been like
the scene later.
And it's all so controlled.
Scene later when Marge finds the Swede Gaear in, like so to jump forward, he's wood chipping Carl because Carl messed up. And he takes everybody out. And
that's jumping forward to one of the best scenes.
It really, but it's the same. I find it's very similar to the kidnapping scene where there's this moment where Marge sees him in the woods or through the woods, which are very sparse because it's winter and everything's white except for this giant sheet of red. And it's kind of like, and I thought that myself. I'm like, if I was there, would my brain immediately go to, I would be like, what's the red? What is that? Is that a tarp? Not like, oh, that's just a wood chipped body. Like, it's so shocking. And her reaction is so calm and so the opposite of what most people would react. And it's that wide shot and it's just very slow and it takes almost the horror out of it.
Well, on top of that, Nat, like we see a foot with a sock on.
And the way he's pushing it down, and I laughed.
You sure do.
The way he's using a brick of wood or something to push the foot down.
And it was like, it was so comical because it seemed so cartoonishly grotesque.
This was a cartoon. This was something you see in Looney Tunes. Like this is 100% that. And that's what I'm saying. The Coens are masters of taking what is dark and menacing and making it feel I'm going to say safe, but I'm just
absurd.
Absurd. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. But getting back to some of the things that lead to that because there's a lot that goes into that. Marge kind of, after finding the murder, she ends up kind of starting to put two and two together about the fact that these are dealer plates. And she ends up taking a trip to Minnesota, meeting Jerry, who Jerry is doing his best to try to pretend that he's like sad and all, and it's not very convincing to just about everybody. Like at all. Like I almost want to be like, you're the most guilty looking person here.
I mean, Jerry. We haven't mentioned it's William H. Macy.
Takes precedence.
Yeah, we didn't mention it's William H. Macy. He's so fucking good in this. Yeah.
Yes.
But he's
so good.
Was this before? Like when did they have the conversation about like the undercoating on the car, like the upset? Or is it? It's the best dialogue.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's
it's the factory that puts the coating on there.
Yeah, that's
apparently
before
was
the
based
kidnapping.
on a true story.
This TruCoat, it really protects the car from all salt. You really this TruCoat.
I didn't want the TruCoat.
Really
I
good
came with my 19.5.
I want it for 19.5. Gosh darn it!
I'm here with my 19.5.
That whole scene was apparently like an actual experience that one of the Coen brothers had, and like they just wanted to add that in. Like that one actually apparently is based on a true story.
Honestly, I've bought cars and it very much is the same sort of thing.
So yeah, outside of the whole TruCoat thing, I'm sorry, I deviated a bit there because I that was probably my favorite part in the movie. But Brian, as you mentioned,
get that TruCoat, John.
Yeah, is that Jerry couldn't look any more guilty in front of Marge, the super detective. But I love that he is just such a pushover and such a little bitch that when it comes time to take the money to, the kidnappers, the dad's just like, fuck you, it's my money and my daughter. I'm going to do it. And he's like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't think you want to deal with that. I don't think you want to do that, Wade. I mean, these guys, it's my deal. It's my deal.
It's my deal.
It's my deal right here. Okay. These guys, they said no police.
Yeah. Between like Jerry being just a complete little bitch and Wade being just too damn stubborn for his own good leads to, Wade
I mean, in all fairness,
some lead.
Yeah.
If it was my kid, I would have gone and I would not have let him go.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. I kind of get it.
Didn't work out for Dad, but
No, but I mean, to be fair, and this is the one thing about Jerry that makes him really weaselly is he's fucking over everybody because he says that the kidnappers asked for $1 million when honestly all they're expecting is 80,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty big discrepancy.
Yeah, he's trying to get some extra money.
Yeah, he's trying to get that 750,000 for his deal.
Yeah. Well, but there is that point earlier in the film where he's back and forth on the phone with the guy who's verifying all of the car VIN numbers or whatever and I think that guy said that it was like 400 something. There was like a different amount so it's hard to say like how much he actually needs to not be screwed.
There's a lot of fucking
Yeah.
And the fact that, again, as we mentioned with like the whole VIN plate stuff, like how does he think he's going to get away with this? Like, and you could maybe bullshit and put on a suit and claim you went to the bank and say, I got the big loan. They actually gave it to me. But it's going to be, that's odd. All of a sudden, he has hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in this new project. And I mean, you could fake that maybe for a while. But I mean, I could fake it with Brian because, like Brian doesn't live with me, but Christine, my fiance, would be like, hey, how come I never see you pay the bank back anything? How come there's never any paperwork come to the house? Like
it's because it was his deal.
It's gonna be pretty transparent. Yeah.
It's his deal. He knew all the ins and outs of the deal.
That's his deal. Yeah.
His deal.
Plus, if it's cash, the bank would like the police would probably work with the bank to get all the serial numbers on the bills, right?
Yeah.
So if Jerry's using those, it'd be like, wait, Jerry's in on it.
Well, he's going to fax them, though. He'll fax them the information.
Everything that Jerry does after the kidnapping, it just screams that he is guilty. I mean, from everything, like, don't involve the police. I have to be the one. I'm the one in communication with them. This is the money we need. And and all of that stuff just rings like. And then on top of that, the timing of he asked for $750,000 for this parking lot thing that he was doing. That I'm like, okay, well, that's your big real estate venture, is a parking lot.
Hey, Frankie Muniz made his fortune that way. The
Is
kid
that
from
for
Malcolm in
real?
the Middle.
That's how he made
was
his
told
fortune?
he was told by an investor friend, buy parking lots and parking spaces, because unless you need something to be like filled in, like a pothole in there or something, it requires no maintenance.
No maintenance,
You never have to be there, and people just pay to put their car in there all
I'll
day
be right
long.
back.
Is it
Yeah.
also
I'm pretty sure mobsters also follow that same logic. That's
Yeah.
why they own parking lots and parking garages too.
Frankie Muniz, also known as the Iceman. He kills without care.
Isn't Frankie like? Isn't he also in like? He's a musician and a race car driver.
Yeah, he went. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
heard that.
Malcolm's a race car
Yeah,
driver.
no, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I don't
Retired
know.
now though. He's retired
Oh.
now.
Oh, well,
But he
life
does have
is
a music
unfair.
career.
He's a race car driver. I don't.
No, he really was, and he had.
No,
he's
I
in,
heard
like
that
a
too.
jazz band or something. They play him on the radio in Montreal all the time. I don't know why. Like he's not bad. He's good. He's good. That's
International
why.
man of mystery, Frankie Muniz.
Who would have thought?
Oh,
I'm
side
still
note.
gonna
Oh, we really
always-
love Frankie Muniz, eh?
We really love that Frankie Muniz.
I want to take Frankie Muniz to Tim Hortons. I'm squirting for a Horton.
God.
Well done, well done. That one was
Fargo.
Fargo.
It's
I
the
do-
Canada Fargo crossover that we definitely need.
Yes, that
Maybe
is
Dick
true.
Wolf
That
should-
is true.
Yeah.
I guess I will say that I was kind of surprised that Wade didn't catch that. Like, he seems like to be fairly capable, and then he's got his like sidekick accountant with him all the time, and he doesn't at all.
We're not a bank, Jerry.
He does, yeah. He like doesn't care at all about his son-in-law, and like and thinks he's completely useless. So the fact that he didn't like find any of that suspicious and overrule him and go to the police is probably the only non-believable thing in this movie.
Listen, I
Actually,
said
like-
that he didn't like his son-in-law. I never said that he was smart.
Yeah, well, but he does come
And
across
Wade's
as
not
being,
that.
well,
You don't have to
maybe
be
not.
smart to make money.
Well,
That's
that's,
true.
yes.
That's
You can make
true.
money by being smart, but you don't have to be smart to make money.
That's
Exactly.
fair. Okay, all right,
And-
I'll give you that.
And my thought is that Wade probably never would have thought that his son-in-law
Was
would
capable.
have the balls or be capable to do
Yeah.
something of this extent. Because
Fair. Yeah.
Jerry is just a Weasley piece of shit nothing who has delusions of grandeur.
Do you think
And,
he
yeah.
really thought that like it's the psychology of Jerry?
Sure.
Do you think like he actually thought that he that no one would get hurt and that this would all just like
Yes.
Yes.
work out? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
I,
really
totally
think
think he
so.
did.
I think he was surprised even by that first conversation in Fargo that it went badly. I think that shocked him.
These are Fargo goons. These aren't like hired hitmen from New York City.
yeah,
He just thought that they would scare her a little bit. Maybe just, put a bag over her head and all that.
He,
You know,
he went onto
she-
Live Journal Marketplace and found some goons.
Live Journal Marketplace.
This is even before that.
Yeah.
had this
He asked
actually
Jeeves.
worked out when his wife inevitably figured out what happened, it would have been just ridiculous. Like
Well, let's say he pulls it off, too. Let's say everything works out perfectly. His wife has unspeakable PTSD for the rest of her fucking life.
And the
his
son.
Yeah,
And the
Yeah.
son.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 No,
there-
hockey, kidnapped mom.
Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
that poor kid.
Now there is one aspect of this movie that I really was like, why is this here? And I'm curious all your thoughts on this. So there's a moment in this movie where we get introduced to I don't know if it's
Mark?
a friend or
Yeah.
an old boyfriend or whatever, but Mike Yanagita.
Mike, that's it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they kind of flirted a bit in high school, but maybe they went out once. That's just
yeah.
my conjecture.
Yeah, but Mike kind of calls up Margie in the middle of the night
In the middle of the night, yeah.
to just say like, hey, I saw you on the news and about all this murdering happening up in Brainerd, and I'm in Minnesota. I'm in Minneapolis right now. Do you think maybe you want to like meet up? And I'm going like, why is Margie meeting up with this guy? Especially like she goes and dresses up nice and everything, and they go out.
She has no cynicism, Brian. She thinks that, oh well, he just wants the pie, not my pie, the pie at the restaurant.
But like it's something that I think I'm like, why is this happening in the middle of all of this?
It's scenery.
I kind of actually felt that it reinforced Marge's character. Like it reinforced that she's actually just like a really genuinely good straight arrow person.
Yeah.
Well, because she didn't see anything, like she didn't get anything bad. Like she's just there genuinely because as a friend. And even when he kind of asked her out, she was just like, oh no, like that's, like brush that under the rug. And
he was doing more than asking her out. He within 5 seconds was like, let me go sit on your side of the booth here.
She's like, oh no,
I have a room up here and all of that. And it's like, dude, she just got done telling you she married Norm.
Like, she handles it so well though. Like she again, like I'm kind of with you on this one, Nat. I think like it just makes me like her so much more because she doesn't like, she's not rude, she's not demeaning, she doesn't like throw it back in his face. She had the right, I think, to do any, like she could have gotten up and like slapped him. She could have done 1,000,001 different things and would have been in the right on all of it. But she just handles it politely and well, and then even is like surprised later when she finds out that like he didn't actually have a dead wife and he doesn't have like, she's just kind of like, oh,
that's an interesting point. So that the only reason I think why that scene is in there is to showcase the dual nature of Jerry, because Mike has a dual nature, right? He presents himself as a friend. He presents himself as this non-opposing, and then really, says like, oh, my wife died of leukemia and I'm so lonely. But then it's revealed later in the movie that, he's full of shit. He actually has mental problems and that sort of thing. So that when we see Jerry, who is, the same type of character, right, presents a face of the nice guy who's unassuming but really is nefarious, that it kind of mirrors each other. Like we're getting a personal microcosm of the plot of the film.
Well, also, Brian, I would say that, look at the Coen brothers library of films. Like what did they do right after this? The Big Lebowski. Half of that movie is just not necessary, quote unquote, like
speak for yourself, John. Speak for yourself. All of that is necessary. Okay?
I love that movie to death, but like if you had to break it down as an analysis of plot points, there's a lot in that movie.
What plot? There is no plot.
There's a sweater vest and some bowling. That's it.
And it's all because of a carpet that tied the whole room together. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Coen brothers are gonna Coen. They're gonna do this shit.
The Coen brothers are gonna Coen.
They are gonna Coen. They're gonna Coen.
I do I don't know. I agree with you that it's maybe not necessary in the movie, but I do like it as like, I feel like, again, she's just so unflappable throughout this entire movie. Like she's just like, she's there. While she's there, she's checking in on all these leads. She's like found like nothing phases this woman at all. Like she is just totally
she's
fine.
The moral
like
compass.
There's even
chaos.
There's even the moment like later when she's in front of Jerry and she's like, now come back, and he's like clearly flustered and obviously like totally involved in one way or the other, and she's asking questions and he's losing his shit, and she's just like calmly, again, like echoing how she was previously. Like she's just like, okay, well, you don't need to get upset. Like I'm asking you rational questions, and like, you need to answer these questions. And then he like gets up in a crazy turn of events and is like, I'll go and inventory all the cars now. And
like, do you want me to go inventory all the cars right now?
Storms and she
drives
just
away.
Sits there and waits. She's just like, okay, like she's just completely unflappable throughout this entire movie. And the level-headed, like smart, capable person, while everyone like she actually is almost like the calm in the storm. Like every single other character around her, maybe other than her husband, who's also equally unflappable, but everyone else is like losing their shit and like screwing everything up, and everything is going horribly wrong. And she's just kind of like doggedly, quietly working her way to the end.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that this movie ends with like everybody getting kind of what they want or what their comeuppance is, right?
Yeah.
So obviously Steve Buscemi being the weird little funny guy, he gets shot by Wade
in the face.
In the face.
Brutal.
Yeah.
No.
I forgot about that part. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
It was a jump
The
scare
Coens
moment.
really, they don't shy away from the blood and gore in this one. Like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned earlier, it's kind of comical. So yeah, he gets shot in the face, blood and viscera everywhere. He's holding his chin, and realizes that, oh yeah, the money is $1 million and not 80,000. So he's gonna try to screw over Gaear by hiding the rest of the money in the frozen tundra.
Which I love that scene because I'm like, you're never gonna find it
You're
again,
never
and also snow melts.
Well, not only that, like this is Fargo or this is Brainerd or Minneapolis, like wherever the snow is gonna pile on, and you're not gonna see that little red scraper
ever again. Like, but that farmer, like by that fence, is gonna find it in the springtime because it's not like he buried it deep. It's on top of the ground.
Also, no, because there's no way that you were digging a hole in the ground in like January in any of these places. Like
he just buried it in the snow. Like somebody's gonna find that immediately in springtime.
Here's what he should have done. He should have put it in his own bag under his used underwear.
Yeah.
His partner's not touching his skibs.
Yep.
That's true.
Valid.
That's very true. He could have done that, but he didn't.
Nope.
And that ultimately leads to a fight in which the Steve Buscemi gets thrown into the wood chipper, as we talked about. And of course Mrs. Lundegaard's dead. We don't ever see why. I'm assuming there's probably a deleted scene somewhere that shows like what happened.
But is she?
Yeah.
Like we saw her like unmoving, and Gaear said that she was
screaming or saying
and he quieted her up, but there was an ambulance at the end too, so was she in the ambulance?
I
was
dead.
Dead.
There's two options here. I think either like the European fella being a psychotic, like she pissed him off and he just damn killed her, or these two guys plan to never return her in the first place.
Yeah.
And probably kill Jerry and just take the money and run.
Yeah. Yeah, there is the moment at the very end now where there's like her body is like laying next to the wood
she's
chipper.
lying there in the middle of the kitchen, but
no, outside afterwards when Marge comes up, her body is lying like at his feet while he's wood chipping the other guy.
Wood chipping, yes, you're right. You're right. Yes.
But you're right, like I kept waiting, and I've seen this probably 4 or 5 times, but it's been a very, very long time since I've seen it last. But I kept waiting because there was all these weird moments between this, like where the Swede was like looking at her weird, and I was like, oh, does he like rape her? Like I just like he had like weird moments with her with eye contact where I was like, and then it thankfully didn't go that way because I don't think it needed to. But
I don't know.
It was
I feel like he didn't like the germs when she bit him at the beginning, and he was like,
oh yeah, he wasn't put out by that. Yeah,
he was like, no, I got to take care of my bite before I finish the kidnapping.
In the middle of all this, it's like I got to get my Neosporin. Okay,
I mean, that would have been me. I would have been like, hang on.
So I don't think he would have attacked her. I think he would have bludgeoned her or shot her, but
which seems like he probably did.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But Jerry gets it in the worst way. Oh man. So the ending for him is because he kind of like bolted from Marge and everything, and this is of course after the Swede is kind of arrested by Marge and brought back to Brainerd. Jerry is found in a motel, and probably the most guttural scream I've ever heard of an actor in a movie.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was guttural, more chicken shit. But
well, it was chicken shit guttural, you know, Like,
very well done.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it didn't feel like it was rehearsed. It felt like, if like it felt real. If anything, like something you would see on Cops.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you know that Jerry, in his infinite genius, probably used his credit card to check into that hotel.
Well, he also didn't change the license plate on his car.
No.
And was his father-in-law still in the trunk? Where was the father-in-law's body this whole time? Did he be at home with his son?
Probably. Grandpa's in the trunk.
Yeah.
Well, back when it's that snowy, though, you could probably cover the license plate with snow. I actually had to fight, sidebar, a ticket in college because I grew up in the snow belt, and I pulled an all-nighter at in the editing bay, and apparently I got a ticket because overnight my license plate got naturally covered in snow, and the sticker that I had. Because my dad was alumni, so I was that dick, and I had the alumni ticket, so I could park like with the professors. And that was covered.
A dick thing, by the way.
You deserve totally like ticket. Upfront parking. But in Montreal too, you have to uncover. You have to uncover your license plate before you drive.
See, professor.
But
I didn't know it was covered. I was in the building for 14 hours.
Yeah,
I didn't know my privilege parking pass was covered.
I should have just left that part out, and you guys would have.
I don't want to left that part out.
I'm sorry that happened to you, John. I care.
Sorry that you were hindered by the weather.
And then my $6,000 of caviar went missing.
No, this is professor of higher education. There is no $6,000 of caviar. That's a step too far.
He desereved that parking spot.
It's more like whatever. It's more like whatever artichoke dip was left over from the whatever event was used to get new freshmen in. Okay,
perhaps you've heard of my grandfather, J.P. Morgan.
Okay. Oh, geez. But the movie itself ends very innocuously. I mean, it's pretty much just Marge and Norm in bed, and you find out that Norm is his painting is going to be on a 3-cent stamp.
Well, the ending is beautiful. It's perfect.
It really is perfect
because like this bizarre incident. It's probably like, as they say in Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, like the only time you heard a gunshot was to start the track meet at the local high school, right?
Yeah.
Before Michael Myers showed up. And outside of this bizarre botched kidnapping conspiracy, probably, it's like the biggest crime in there is somebody double parking or jaywalking. And so it's like, now that this is over, they're going to go back to their normal, mundane, comfortable, small hamlet lifestyle.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest crime spree that they had seen in like the history of Minnesota.
Yeah.
But like, again, like dealt with so calmly. Like, I do love, like, you're right. I think the ending is absolutely perfect. I do love her calm level of like, I don't know, horror, I get. Like at the end, she makes I'll completely will butcher this quote, but she makes some sort of comment about like how just incredibly sad that entire situation was. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's
all for a little money.
Yeah, all for a little money, right? Like I feel like that line and then kind of back into like the normalcy of their returning everyday life is the absolute perfect way to end it. It's like, she has now gone through this entire experience and it was like, that was just so unnecessary and so sad. And like, yes, accurate. Like it, I don't know. It was, I thought it was really like, just beautifully done from start to finish. And I don't think I fully appreciated how good a movie it was until rewatching it this time around. I was like, oh yeah, this one really holds up.
Yeah.
Well, you say the biggest crime in Minnesota. I say the biggest crime in Minnesota is the fucking Minnesota Wild getting Marion Gabrick.
Okay.
You guys didn't deserve him. He should have been a Penguin.
Tell us what you really think.
Tell us how you really feel, John.
We were never going to get him in the draft anyway.
All right.
Come
well,
on, the Minnesota Wild needs a little bit of. They might need a little bit of help. Maybe they can have.
You know what? They care more about the fucking Gophers there, anyways.
Well, gophers could be a problem for the farms.
Yeah.
Gopher would have found the $1 million, by the way.
Yeah, the Gopher absolutely
Ate it.
found the $1 million.
Used it for his den.
Yep. All right. Well, with that said, do want to get to some reviews.
Oh,
All right.
I
So
love
this is very interesting, Brian, because you kind of hinted that some of these could be kind of interesting from our younger audiences. Because the reason we're doing this movie in the first place is Brian and I randomly decided long ago that 30 years is when we're going to retrospect something.
Okay.
And this movie came out in 96.
Not necessarily that number, but just like when you hit a 10.
Yeah.
Then you're
Well, when I make the schedule, I look for movies that
with
are 30
John.
years.
Yes,
Right.
when John does the schedule at the beginning of the year, which, by the way, a lot of people don't know this. We literally map out every episode for
That
a
is
whole year.
admirable.
That's all John. Like he'll literally do that whole thing. But yeah, he threw this on there because he's like, it's 30 year. You know, we got to do that.
It's true.
And to me, this movie is still fucking flawless.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. And so if there are any bad reviews,
They're wrong.
very excited to see exactly what the problem is.
There are a couple, and so
Interesting.
For our uninitiated, the review section of our podcast is where I go ahead and I usually find them from Letterboxd, but I am totally open to reading reviews from you, the listener or viewer. So if you want to get in on the action of giving us your reviews of the movies that we're covering, do me a favor and subscribe to our newsletter. The link for it is in the description of this episode, and you can know exactly what we're going to be covering the next week. Give us your review and we'll feature it on the show. So, Katie, Nat, John, you have not seen these reviews, right? You don't know what the hell I'm going to pull.
I'm
No good,
excited.
sir.
Okay. So let's go to review number 1. Ned Flanders' origin story.
Ned would never. Ned would never.
Sure he would.
Oh, it's perfect.
He would never do that to Maud or Edna Krabappel if you follow the later
If
seasons.
I mean, I don't think anyone follows the later stuff, John.
My
I don't
14-year-old
even think
has watched
this-
every single episode.
Really?
And it took him a very
All like
long
600
time.
episodes or whatever they're
he
up
worked
to
his
now?
way all the way through from the beginning, diligently
Why?
watched every single episode.
Why?
So
They don't
wait, he
get
started
any
from-
good.
He started from frosty chocolate milkshakes all the way to Lady Gaga.
They had them all on Disney Plus, and he was like,
Yeah.
I'm in. Went
Good
all
for
the way
him.
down. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but yeah, it does kind of have a Ned Flanders vibe.
I mean,
Jerry
just that's a
Lundegaard
funny
has an
review. I will take that as a funny review. Well done.
Yeah.
It's if Ned Flanders was Dexter Morgan, right?
Mhm.
That's one I'd like to see. Dexter
That,
Morgan,
yeah.
but Ned Flanders.
That's a Treehouse of Horror. They have Ned Flanders as
Oh.
Dexter Morgan. So.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. All right. Let's go to review number 2. She never got to see how funny looking he was.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah.
Oh.
4 stars.
4 stars.
Oh,
From
okay,
Stone
that one
McBride.
wins So far,
Yeah,
for me.
all
That's
she got
amazing.
to see was a foot with a sock on it. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm
Funny
now
looking
devastated
too.
for Marge.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's living out the rest of her life not knowing.
Not
Okay,
knowing
that
how
was
funny looking she
incredible.
was.
People are so funny. The internet has taught me that there are people's inside thoughts that are now outside. Well done,
Yeah.
society. I
People are
appreciate
either
this.
really funny or really racist. Those
Yeah,
are
I'm
the 2
gonna
people
ignore
on the
that
internet.
side. that side, I'm
We
not
could
gonna talk
ignore
about.
that. Yeah, but no, yeah, I mean, I didn't forgot that she never really saw this guy. She just heard everything about him, including the fact that he was uncircumcised.
Those were the only 2 facts she
Funny
at
looking
no
and
point
uncircumcised. That's it.
asked for any kind of, it was like what hair color he had. She was just
No.
like, oh, okay, great.
All right, let's go to review number 3. All right, this is a negative one. Again, how does a movie like that get a 4.2 rating? I am truly in awe. Can someone enlighten me? Once again, I believe it is because of oldflation, old movie inflation. People rate movies higher because they are old. This has to stop, and I will put an end to it.
Boo.
Oh,
Boo
I feel so
this
sad
man.
for him.
Boo this man.
All right.
What a sad little life he has.
That's why he's only got
this-
5 likes.
This, I think, is actually kind of complete nonsense. Like, I feel that if you showed a 14-year-old King Kong from the 30s, they would go, this looks like crap. Turn this off. This is, they wouldn't say, oh, I bet people think this is a masterpiece because it's super old. No, they'd be like, why does it look like the California? Well, they wouldn't know what the California raisins.
They wouldn't know.
You're really not helping.
They don't know who Mac Tonight is or the California raisins. That's all our.
My
thing.
kids do, but
Your
I
kids
spend a
do.
lot of time on that.
I mean, in all fairness to this movie, it did well then. So
it did.
It's not oldflation if it did well the first time around.
I think he's close to something, but also completely. Sorry, I said he. I think they are close to something, or maybe not.
It's Hubman, so I'm assuming.
Hubman, okay.
Yeah.
Hubman.
In that, I don't think it's oldflation. He might have a point if he had said that there is like a nostalgia around movies that people loved when they originally saw them. Like, I think that is true. I think that there are a lot of movies. Nat and I rate a lot of movies, almost every movie 4 or 5, knowing entirely that we're rating absolutely on like the feels, the memories, where we were when we first watched it. Like, that doesn't necessarily make for a good movie, but I don't think that is this movie, because as you just said, like, it did incredibly well originally. It won Oscars. It's not, I don't think it has anything to do with Dave, but I think he was close to the idea that there is something in like
the poor
nostalgia.
I think he just didn't
get it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like an old person here.
Gamelan.
But I think that if you're under the age of 25, you can not really handle stories and characters that are not delivered in like micro doses or at fast speed. I think it's an attention span thing. I mean, I'll sound like that guy. I don't care, but like I see it in modern films that are geared towards younger audiences, and I see it in reactions of like showing my kids older movies. Like, oh, it's so slow. It's like, no,
it has to build, kids.
It's called you got to work for it. Like, you got to you gotta have the movie play out.
Like, gather the information.
But I think that, and I mean, I don't know how old Hubman is, but I'm going to gather
19.
I'm going to gather that he's raised on TikToks and Instagram reels and seeing a movie in which characters talk like humans and there's no jump cuts, that he couldn't handle it.
This is a youngflation review.
This is a youngflation problem.
Half star.
Half star.
Back in my day, Nichols had pictures of bees on them. Give me 5 bees for a quarter, you'd say.
Yeah. Back in my day, jump cuts were avoided. We avoided the jump cut.
Well, a jump cut was when you cut somebody in line while you were jump roping.
Sure. Yeah, but that's my old man yelling at the sky type.
I agree.
Kate, Nat, you're younger than us, so yeah, we're the old farts here. So.
Yeah. Not by much. I think we're pretty close.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our last review of the episode. As someone who is uncircumcised and funny looking, I always identify with Steve Buscemi's character. Also, I love how many people are killed in this movie.
Well done, Will. Well done.
Well done.
Oh, well done.
I'm glad that this movie is really what hits home for you.
It takes a bold, confident man to admit they're funny looking. You know,
on the internet, yeah. To be
I'm surprised he didn't also tell us that he was only like 3.5 inches or something.
The review section holds up. It's close to being as good as like the comment section in all of our favorite TikTok videos.
This person is really Steve Buscemi commenting in Letterboxd.
That would be incredible. That would be absolutely incredible.
I would not be surprised if that is what actors do. Like, they probably have something in their marketing where it's like, okay, you've got to go into Letterboxd as someone else
absolutely.
And write a review in there or shit post somebody in Letterboxd to sell the movie that we're working on. Right?
PR team for sure does.
PR team. No, I think they do it. Yeah.
Guys, the president of the United States had a whole career of doing that. He would do interviews as John something, like John Donaldson.
John Barron.
John Barron, yeah.
John Barron.
And he didn't even try. He's like, let me tell you, Donald Trump has the biggest penis I didn't mean to see it, because no homo. But we were in the showers after he hit 5 holes in one.
With his tiny hands.
Oh,
His tiny
even the
hands.
sound of you pretending to be him makes me like want to throw up. I can't. I just
No,
cannot.
but the
I
thing
can
is,
say
when
from
John
an outside
does it, it's
perspective,
hilarious.
we all want to throw up.
Bing,
Yeah.
bing, 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 bong.
Bing bong, bing bong. Oh, well, we had to lose our MAGA audience somehow, John. Thank you for doing
That's
that.
all right. It's the end. It's the end.
Sorry.
It's the end. If they made it this past, I mean,
Hey,
maybe
in
they're
the
okay.
end, the love that you take is equal to the love that you make.
Okay. Oh, geez.
Randomly, on a side quest, a fun fact about Steve Buscemi is that he used to be a firefighter, and
Yes,
and during 9/11, he suited up again to help out.
That's
Aw,
right.
Did he?
American
and not
heroes,
like not
Steve
help
Buscemi.
out. He actually did the damn job during
Yeah.
9/11.
no, he actually
Yeah.
was like a part of the rescue team. Like, he
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
going
digging
in
yeah,
there.
people
yeah.
up.
He was
Yeah.
front line.
Yeah.
So
A
yeah,
funny-looking
Steve Buscemi,
badass.
funny looking guy,
Yeah.
and a
So,
badass firefighter.
so Katie and Nat, what's going on over at the VHS Club?
Oh, we're not like you guys. We don't have our whole year planned out. We're just taking it one day at a time.
To be fair, we don't have October planned out yet entirely. Okay,
Well, that's spooky month.
That's spooky month.
Well,
That
that's
is
right, but
spooky
we
month.
have like spooky 1, spooky 2, spooky 3.
That's
We
what
don't
we
know
have.
what they are yet.
we don't know what they are.
We love
Yeah,
that.
so you have placeholders. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have I can't even. So we've had like a very weird and wacky, wild couple of weeks. So we've had to shift
Yeah.
all of our schedule around a whole bunch of times. So
Our spring has been
we're-
crazy.
yeah, so we're coming back again after a unexpected hiatus, but we'll be back again. We record Thursday night, so Thursday night 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're reviewing My Own Private Idaho tomorrow, which was supposed to be part of
Oh.
our June
That was Pride Month.
lineup that is now in middle of July. So that's our
That's how that happens.
yeah, that's how
That's
that
how that
happens. And then we so we did a call, and Brian, I think you submitted some, but we were like, oh, we really only have ever reviewed like movies we've liked, other than when we had you on, Brian, and you picked one that no one liked. But so
I liked it. I'm
so
the only
there you
one.
go.
What was it? What was it? I
Nothing
can't
but
remember.
trouble.
Nothing but trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I asked, we asked all of our social media friends what bad movies we should do, and they came back with a lot of movies we really like. So we are doing in our
Katie's
bad
like, I'm
movie.
so offended.
Yeah, I was super offended in a hilarious way. So we're doing The Gods Must Be Crazy, which is one of my favorite childhood movies.
I've never
But
seen
apparently
that one.
everyone
That's not
hates it.
bad.
Yeah, that's a bad movie,
It
right?
made the shit list.
But I'm doing it for
Oh.
fun. And let me tell you, for me, it's going to be 8 potatoes. So I'm like all in on this one.
I like that movie.
Yeah. And then we have Knight's Tale coming up. So yeah, we're in.
That's
follow
considered
no-
a bad
With Heath
movie.
Ledger?
No, that one we just really wanted to do.
Oh no,
We're not
That's a
following
good
any
one.
rules. We're just
I just like I like the cast of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love Alan Ruddick. So
Yeah. He's fabulous.
yeah, anything he's in.
Awesome.
So yeah, all the usual level of chaos and craziness. I will say I was really excited. I've been playing nonstop with Claude, which I know many of you have also been having fun. But I updated our insanely long movie list. So we used to have it. It was just like a Notion database, and it was super hard to maneuver around. But now you can see how many movies are still on the shelf that we haven't reviewed yet. How many movies we
Wow.
reviewed. You can sort them by decade. You can see the rating. So it's like. It's just magical.
Maybe I
So
got to get a robot Claude to sort
I
all the
know.
movies we've covered.
There you go.
Over 400
It
might be
it was
kinda tough.
remarkably easy. I was,
Sean Claude?
Yeah.
A Sean Claude, yeah. That's what we're gonna call him, Sean Claude. How many movies have we
Okay.
covered?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I don't
that was
think
my
we've
exciting
covered
moment.
any Jean Claude.
No,
movies
we
yet.
haven't.
We should
Yeah.
though.
We can't
Oh, Brian.
rename ours to that until we.
Oh, you got to do sudden death
Yes.
That's a Pittsburgh classic.
and
But,
Time Cop,
Brian, you want me to get a wrestling reference in?
of course.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, played guy in the first Street Fighter movie, and is now being played by Cody Rhodes, the soon-to-be world champion at SummerSlam this year.
By the
That's
way,
amazing.
unrelated to any of that. Speaking of Street Fighter, John and I got to play Street Fighter in person. Yes, not through the internets. Recently at John's 41st birthday party
happy
celebration.
birthday.
And
Thank you,
I
thank
kicked his ass.
John,
Brian
you are
was- Brian
not
was
older
good.
than us.
Yeah, you are not older than us, John.
You win.
Oh, okay. But I liked it when we were Chun-Li versus Chun-Li.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
Oh,
that's the
that's
way you
fun.
got to go. I
Two
mean, I
girls,
thought,
one street fighter.
yeah, I just know that my thumb was sore the next day.
I still have a Nintendo Click.
You got the Nintendo Click thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ABAB at rapid speed.
We were all about Eternal Champions. Do you remember that one? That was our
On
our
Sega
go-to.
Genesis.
Like Mortal Kombat.
I lost
but
it in the
worse,
flood.
but in the best way.
You lost it in the flood.
I lost all my Sega games and all my Nintendo games and my game units.
You got to get an emulator now.
Yeah.
I
start
know.
getting all
It's
those
not
games.
the same.
Yeah, it's kind of. It's close.
It is fun to get to choose literally every game, though, Nat. I will.
It is.
say.
I know. But I still like the cartridge and
I
the
know. Me too.
crunching it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Katie, Nat, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Where can people find more information about you? Follow the VHS Club and watch your new lives that are coming out every Thursday.
So you can swing on over to the VHSClubPod.com. That has all of our information and where to find us. And we record live on most Thursdays.
Most Thursdays.
At 9 p.m.
Thursdays.
Eastern. Yeah, and definitely come check it out. Suggest more bad movies for all of us that will offend us all.
I've popped in on your live streams every once in a while, and it is a very fun time.
Oh,
It's
thanks.
very different vibe from this, but it's definitely a fun time hanging out and talking about movies, but doing it live and having the audience. So
Yeah.
it's very fun.
Well, we did miss our live. Normally we share more facts incorrectly, and then our audience just corrects us. So this was a weird experience. We're like, oh, there's no one here yelling like fun movie facts out at us.
That's the benefit, is that we'll get the nasty comments afterwards of,
Yeah.
they said this.
Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah.
But yeah. So John, where can they find you at on the internets?
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
At what? At what?
Well, you can find me under my name on
Your name.
Facebook and Instagram, but JDubs Video Nasties over at YouTube.
How's your new videos coming? They got anything coming out yet?
I have been beleaguered in my editing process, but I'm going to be cutting things together this weekend.
We believe in you.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
I believe in you. Of course, if you have loved this podcast, please do me a favor and share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your favorite fan of Coen media, because you know you've got one or two of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't share it with the sleazy salesman down the street, though. 'Cause he's-
No car
No.
salesman.
No car salesman. And of course, if you want to follow us, you can follow us on your favorite podcast app of choice by going to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. There's buttons right there, and you just click one, and boom, you can follow us so you never miss an episode. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, hey, thank you so much for doing that. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and let me know down in the comments, what did you think of Fargo? With that said, we will see you next time.
Oh, don't you know you should go to Arby's and try the new roasted nightcrawler sandwich? Oh, yeah, don't you know? We got the meats. Yeah.
Ah,
Go Gophers.
go.